Wine Wednesday. We've got Nils Lackner in the house. Hey, Nils.
Hey, Jana, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm very good. I have been drinking a lot of wine over the last couple of weeks. So I'm
As you
sure
should.
you too.
Yeah, as you should. A
Yeah.
lot of it. And some whiskey, actually, because I was in Scotland for Christmas.
You were in Scotland for Christmas?
Yeah.
Is that why you have a whiskey voice today?
No, I think that's the bad weather and the blizzard happening right now.
Yeah, we're getting it too. Niels, before we went live, we had a little bit of an argument about whether or not you say on or in an island. So I'm going to just go ahead and knowingly, apparently, say it wrong because I refuse to say that you're on Sylt. Nils Lackner is based in Sylt, and everyone can tell me that I'm wrong, but otherwise, sounds ridiculous. So hi, Nils. How's the weather in Sylt? Blizzard?
The weather on Sylt, as it is an island, is fantastic. We have a snowstorm, which we never get really. Like they told me, move to an island, it'll be mild winters, and now we're like getting blasted with snow. But it's fun. It's cool.
Oh man, yeah. Well, we're getting it here too, and it's funny because I spent Christmas back home in Canada, and it was like minus 23 wind chill. Like it was cold, and I was telling everybody we never get winter in Dusseldorf, where I'm based, and I was like complaining, like I just miss the snow, and we had a white Christmas, and then I got back yesterday, and it's like it's been white out snowing here, and I think I just brought it with me. So you're welcome for that. I hope you still make it to where are you headed off to next?
I had to clear my car, and like we're not prepared. I have no tools in my car to clean the snow away. So I'm next on Friday in 2 days. I'm going to Paris for one night, meeting with some MW students, and then I'm off to the Caribbean, St. Martin and St. Barth and BVI's and a few more.
Yeah. Yeah. Your life is so shit. Okay, so let's this is your first time with us, and for everyone who's tuning back in, like I said, welcome back. This is our first one in 2026, so happy to have you joining us live. We are streaming on YouTube and X, and all of our members who are watching this later, hello and happy new year. Really excited to be back and starting out strong with a really great guest. So tonight we have Nils Lackner, who is a friend of mine for years. We met in the wine scene here in Germany. So happy to have you, Nils. Nils is an expert in many things, but he has a really interesting kind of dual specialization that I don't know if anyone else in Germany has. I don't think so. Nils is a specialist in not only wine and sparkling wine, but oysters. So we're going to talk about it today. Our theme is maritime wines and oysters. But yeah, Nils, you want to give us a little bit of a story? How did you get into wine? How did you get into oysters, and why both?
So wine is very easy. When I was like 16 years old, I told my dad I need more money. He told me, you have two healthy hands, go find a job. And I went into the next bar and became a bartender. That's all at school.
Stop. So in most of the world, that's illegal.
I know. In Germany,
just kidding. Carry on. Sorry, I love it.
In Germany, you can work in a bar legally when you're 16 if your parents are okay with it. My parents were okay with it, so I was already that utility, right? I still did the whole academic program. Like I finished my A grades, my A levels, which in Germany called Gymnasium Abitur. I did my bachelor degree. I did my master degree actually in the US. And beside all that, I was always working in restaurants. And as a young guy, I was doing bar. And then when I was 18, 19, I moved towards wine, mainly influenced by a somm I met who just took me under his wing and made sure I got an interest in it. And he sparked that interest really big. And then I did do my sommelier licenses and all that. And when I was done with my MBA, I didn't know what to do because I loved wine so much. But then I had all those headhunters wanting me to work for like German bank and all that. I was like, fuck, nah, not really. And I remember.
Sorry, all of our bankers watching.
Yeah, that's okay. Banker is a very respectable profession, just not for me. I remember like I called my dad and I was like, he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I got this headhunter and I got this job offer. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy a backpack and I'm gonna go on a walkabout, as the Aussies would say, and I find myself." That took 9 years. Like I was backpacking 9 years around the world, mainly working in hospitality and wine bars, in wineries all over the world, and then eventually ended up in like fine dining and luxury hotels and stuff like that. So
Okay.
that's.
And the oysters?
I always liked oysters. I think it's awesome. I mean, I live on an island that has the only oyster farm in Germany, right? So it is kind of regional for us up here as well in the north. I've always liked oysters everywhere in the world, and I started combining them with wine a lot on my, like when I did tastings or speeches and stuff. Just also to amuse myself and to broaden my horizon, kind of. And then there was this one day where I was like, surely there must be an educational program for it. And turns out, yes, there is. There's the Oyster Master Guild, actually, Jana, based out of Canada and the US, interestingly.
Really?
And yeah, and I was the first German who was interested in it. So I contacted them and I said, like, it's only in English. I was like, it shouldn't be a problem. And they made it happen for me. Like, well, with like, obviously I couldn't be there. So through the internet, and then I passed all my levels, and I was the first German to be the advanced oyster expert with a certification. And this works really well because I love a lot of the wines that usually go with oysters. So I love champagne, but I love also the wines that actually make sense with oysters. And so, yeah, it's a good dual kind of expertise to have.
Yeah, not a bad idea. You're speaking my language. So this is interesting. First of all, I didn't know that Sylt was the only place that had oyster farms in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah. It's only one oyster farm in Germany, and it's only on Sylt. It's called the Sylt Royal. The
Wow.
Royal Sylt. What a nice name, eh? For an oyster.
Yeah. Humble. Humble. Okay, so I'm from Nova Scotia. I know you know, but for anyone watching who doesn't know, I am Canadian from the East Coast. Oyster, like, I don't know if it's the oyster capital of the world. Is it? What's the oyster capital of the world, Nils?
I would probably say it's the French Atlantic coast.
Yeah.
Sorry, Canadian girl, but you have fantastic oysters. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love Canadian.
It turns out we're happy with France. We're wine people. It's cool. They have everything. We're not jealous, but it's fine. You know, good at sports, good music, good food, great wine. Fuck off, France. Just kidding. You've got enough. Okay. So anyways, so I'm from Nova Scotia. We've got a lot of great oysters. We have tons of coastline. I'm from the East Coast, tons and tons of coastline. Pretty rugged, you know, Atlantic. We've also got oysters out in BC. I don't have much experience with those, but you know, grew up eating oysters. They say kids are fussy eaters. Well, not in this family. So yeah, definitely something that kind of speaks to my heart. And since we're talking about maritime wines and oysters together, I also think it's pretty interesting. Nova Scotia has a very booming, thriving sparkling wine scene. Not only sparkling wines, all kinds of great wines coming out of Nova Scotia right now. I have a very special bottle that I actually brought home, and I can't even believe that I was able to get a bottle of this. But I will show you the bottle. And okay, you know what? We're going to go here first. We're going to go here first because usually, now take a look at this. I'll show you again in a second and explain. Niels already knows 100% where I'm going with this. But a couple of weeks ago, it was my sister-in-law's birthday. And I was in Germany. I hadn't gone home yet. And I was texting with my brother, and he was like, "You're never going to guess what wine we're drinking. It's so cool." Da, da, da. And he sends me a photo of a bottle just like this one. And I was like, "Oh my God, that looks so cool." You know, you and I know, Niels, and I'm sure a lot of people will recognize that bottle has been aged underwater, right? There's like barnacles on it. So he sends me this picture and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's so cool." And I'm immediately thinking it's one of the champagnes, like a shipwreck champagne or something. And I'm like, "Oh my God," or shipwreck champagne, you know, or like a kind of a newer version from a project that's aging champagne under the sea. Now, this is Benjamin Bridge. And my brother had a bottle and he was sending me all these pictures. And I walked into an NSLC the other day and I couldn't believe that there was one bottle on the shelf because it's like super limited. Anyway, It's called The Underwater Quest, inspired by the tales of ancient champagne bottles that were preserved in the Baltic Sea shipwrecks for centuries. Now, you've got some expertise and knowledge on that. Do you want to enlighten us?
Well, yeah, I mean, the underwater aging is not really a new thing, right? The Romans invented it. And
so they invented it. It wasn't just like an accidental
well,
shipwreck.
they didn't invent it for champagne because champagne wasn't around at that time, but generally the Romans were doing it all the time. Mainly because, well, there was no fridges, right? And where do you put your wine where it's dark and cold and no air can reach it? So they said 12-meter and deeper is a perfect storing facility for a wine, right? I mean, you do have a little movement, but other than that, you're golden, you're fine. And a lot of especially Italian wineries were looking into this and working together with universities as well to create like historically correct amphoras for underwater aging and all that. And then they found shipwrecks with wine, and of course the wines are not perfect, right? I mean, let's face it, like everybody's hyping it up. Like you find a shipwreck that's like 150 years old, there's a bottle of champagne in it. Would I want to drink it? Hell yeah. Would I want to pay for it? Hell no. But I mean, do I think it's the best champagne of my life? No, but it's a good story. There's now really, really cool things. Let me, hold on. I have all the bottles from like New Year's Eve right next to me, actually.
How many are there, Nils?
A few. So this winery, or the champagne house, André Chemin, not this wine, but I believe his name is Sebastian and his wife's name is Eva. They're playing a lot with the theme of aging and maturation. And we had one of my favorite wines actually this New Year's Eve, the 2012 vintage. They have a land and sea package. It's a double package. It's the exact same champagne, 2016, 250 in the cellar, 250 bottles under the ocean near Nantes, so like somewhere over on the Atlantic coast, right? And you get them as a double package, and you can open the same bottles at the same time, taste them. And we're doing this in April in a champagne tasting, not too far off from you, actually.
Oh, so, well, I assume my invitation was lost in the mail so far, but that's okay. I'll check again tomorrow. So you can actually taste them side by side. That's where I find it very fascinating, because like I look at this bottle and I'm like, oh my God, like you said, storytelling, right? Like this is so cool. What a like dinner party wine, right? To get conversation flowing. But like I'm not going to know the difference, no matter how much of a wine expert I am. I'm not going to know the difference between that bottle and the same bottle that was aged in a regular cellar. And so like, actually, one of the questions that I had for you is, what would you look for blind if you're tasting two wines side by side?
I would assume that because you're completely getting rid of air, right? It's a lot reduction happening, like, because what a lot of people don't realize is if you have a bottle and there's a cork in it, there's still air circulation, right? The cork is not airtight, but you put that whole bottle in 12 meters depth, there's no more air. So I would assume that it would be also because it's cold, so it's kind of like always in the fridge, which I mean you could do in a wine fridge. I would assume that it's a little fresher and leaner and more elegant.
Yeah, okay. That would be my assumption too. Well, it's super cool and I'm pumped about it. This is a 2018, so I'm going to put it away. But it was funny because, oh my God, I brought some, whenever I go to Canada, I always bring home like all the things that I can't get here. And obviously some cool bottles like this. But yesterday I was unpacking my suitcase and I was like, what is all over all my stuff? Like it was like sand or like little bits of broken glass. And of course, it was breaking off of the bottle. And I was like, what is all over everything? Anyway, it's so cool. It didn't get too knocked around, but it still looks good. I'm not going to open this for a while.
Do you want to hear another fun fact about underwater aged champagne?
Yes.
The most popular or the most known underwater aged champagne is probably Le Clair Briand Abyss. So the house is called Le Clair Briand and the champagne is called Abyss. they were, as far as I know, they were the first who did it, or they were at least the ones who did it the loudest, right?
Yeah. Louder than good?
Yeah, I think so. Louder than anybody else I know who's done underwater aging.
Okay.
So the fun part of it is Leclerc-Briand is owned by two Americans, by an American family, American couple. The bottle that you just showed me looks pretty much the same. The Abyss has all those barnacles and shells on it. You're not allowed to bring them into the States. So which means they are not allowed to bring their prestige champagne from their own winery into their house back home.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I didn't declare that, did I? No, I did not.
I'm sure there is bottles of Leclerc-Briand in the States, I'm sure. But technically not allowed. It's funny.
Oh my God. Yeah, I guess, I mean, it kind of makes sense. You're not allowed to bring, well, yeah.
It's against the food and health regulations of the US. That's what it is.
Well, it is what it is. Nobody called customs on me, right, guys? They let me through. They let me through. One win for me. Okay, so let's get back into just like what maritime wine. What makes a wine a maritime wine?
Well, the easy answer, Jana, would be if it's from a vineyard that's close to the ocean. But is that enough? Can that be enough? I mean, yes, the ocean with all its saltiness and like with all the sea breezes and all that temperature changes will definitely influence the wine. To me, and I've been working with this theme a lot, like maritime wines. To me, there's one more theme that no one's really talking about. It's people who live near the coastline have a different mindset. So that means a winemaker who's based near the coast has a different mindset than someone in the mountains. That's because coastal people have different problems, they have different cuisine, they have different attitudes, and so on. So to me, that's one of the major impacts as well, to create maritime wines.
Interesting.
And then if you look into like big areas like Bordeaux, why is Bordeaux so big? Not just because they have very perfect soil for the style they're doing, not because they're in southern France and get the sunlight, not because the Atlantic is there, but because they had a huge fucking port that created not just a market, but a market hub, like a gateway into the world. So if you look into this is a maritime advantage. Like you had the means of transportation it all over the world, and not just that, all the way back as well. Look into Rioja in Spain. I mean, they profited so big from like the Basque ports and the Basque seafaring history. La Rioja were the first to get like all those rum casks, right, coming over, because it's Spain. And they, of course, had a colony. They would bring over rum. What would you do with the empty casks, the empty barrels? Well, you give them to Rioja guys. So same. They had a port. They had cousins who were ship makers. Who built the ships perfectly to transport wine and so on. So it's the whole maritime theme that kind of creates maritime wines to me.
Yeah. Okay. That's really, I like that. A little more philosophical to think also just about the mentality of the winemaker. Yeah, I like that. Never heard that before, Nils. Love it. Love the original thinking. All right.
We took that to another level. And we had I believe in November, we had a wine tasting. Oh, I think your invite was also missing.
What the
Sorry.
fuck, Nils? This is getting embarrassing at this point.
We did a wine tasting, and it was a regional wine tasting. Okay, the region being the largest mountain range in the world, which is not the Himalayas, which is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Only most of the mountain range is underwater. But some of the peaks pop up and they create islands. And on these islands, you find very special wines, the Azores, the Canary Islands, and so on. And we made a wine tasting, which we called the Mid-Atlantic Ridge wines. And it was insane. Like,
cool.
So mineralic, like insane.
Antonio Mazanita is making wines in the Azores, right?
For example, yeah. And you know where we did it? We did it on a sailboat while sitting on top of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge.
See, that's one of my favorite wine tasting experiences was also, it was on a catamaran in the Indian Ocean, where a lot of people are like, you can't taste wine professionally outside. And I'm like, hell yeah, you can. It was a vibe. It was like, I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget the wines that I tasted, because it was like, this is a moment that is like, you know, it's going on the scrolls of life. Like, you're not going to forget what that wine tasted like. Anyway, okay.
I totally
So,
agree. Put on your
yeah.
Wellingtons, go march out into the ocean and have a bottle of champagne. It tastes different. Totally agree.
Yeah, this is why people bring wines home that they taste on vacation and are disappointed when it doesn't taste the same when they get home. It's
I
like,
know.
yeah.
They
Okay.
would get a fucking pool and then chill at it, and it would taste the same.
Take the day off. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about salinity, because this is like, whenever people talk about salinity, you know, you hear words like salinity and minerality and these, and like tension in wines. But let's like hone in on salinity. Is this real or is this a metaphor?
See, the thing is, we haven't really
Proven
the laboratory facts to fully prove it.
I know. That's why I wanted to know what you think, Nils.
But everybody who has a sense of taste, I say yes. I mean, sorry, check out Melon Blanc, Muscadet, Sèvres Maine, right? Check out that grape variety. Have you had it from another region other than the Atlantic coastline, the Loire? Have you tried it? It doesn't taste salty, but from there it does. And it's not just a little bit, it's full on salinity. And then you could argue, yeah, but they're doing also, like, they're doing different soil, and yeah, they're keeping it surely for a longer time. No, they don't. I've had it from like a Canadian winemaker. He gave them surely time and stuff. Like, he did nothing wrong. It's just not based at the Atlantic Ocean. So it's a fruit forward wine when it's not from the ocean. It has a fruit forward component with a lot of salinity in the finish when it's from the ocean. So I say yes. I mean, look at Assyrtiko. Assyrtiko tastes completely salty when it's from like the islands compared to like Greek mainland.
Yeah, so 100%.
I agree. There is something with the factors that influence the salinity of it.
I agree too. I mean, I also, one of the things that I always found very hard to explain or argue, I suppose, was when I worked at Weingut am Stein, and you're tasting those GGs from that, like from the Stettiner Stein, and it's so steep, limestone hills, and you definitely taste salinity. Like, you definitely taste it. And everyone's like, that's the Muschelkalk, that's the limestone. But it depends who you talk to. And like, don't tell your wine teacher when you're going through your studies to be a somm or whatever, don't tell them about minerality, because you know it's going to be like don't write that on your exam. It's not proven, but you taste it. It's there.
I agree. And sometimes you taste it so much, but then you have landlocked areas that create very saline wines as well. And then you're like, oh, is that limestone? And then you look into it and say, no, it's granite, or so it's still salinity. I mean, there's factors, a million factors that create a wine. So
yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's go like so we talked a little bit about Melon de Bourgogne. It's, you know, I've tasted some fantastic wines from Nantes while standing at an oyster farm. You know, that like combination is amazing. Anyone who knows a little bit about wine and food pairings and orders oysters at a restaurant and sees Melon de Bourgogne on the menu, you know, they feel like a pro. You're doing the right thing. You are doing the right thing. But there are also so many more directions to go in. And so I think thinking outside of that box, or also outside of the box of just sparkling, which grapes or regions do you think are very interesting to explore? Thinking about a pairing with oysters. So maritime wines and oysters.
With oysters, like if you ask 100 people on the street, 99 will say champagne, which makes sense. But if we think of it, like, where did champagne and oysters meet? Definitely not regionally. They met in a French high society in Paris, right? And we know exactly where they met, at the royal court. I mean, we can prove it because there's documents and paintings and all that. So to me, as much as I love oysters and champagne, it is not the ideal pairing. And you just said Muscadet Sèvres. Yes, I agree. Go order it whenever you find it on the list, because it's an amazing wine for always a really fair price point.
Yeah.
But the Atlantic coast is not the only place where France grows oysters. And if you look into the Mediterranean, you will find that around the city of Sète, you have some fantastic oysters, and you have a different wine. It's called Picpoul de Pinet.
Yes.
And Picpoul de Pinet goes really, really well with oysters, amazingly
Nice.
well with oysters. And even shows out the bottle, because the bottle will have little waves. It's called the Bouteille de Neptune, the Neptune's bottle. I mean, how much more can they give you a hint that this will be fine with like seafood? I mean, so
yeah.
excuse me,
No
the
worries.
voice is raspy, as we said. Then, if you look into Spain, I mean, Albarino and Albarino are great companions for oysters. I love them, but to me, the coolest is actually a really dry sherry with oyster.
Ooh, interesting. I've been trying to get my friends onto sherry, and like I cannot understand for the life of me why it doesn't catch on. Like I understand that, and maybe I'm like opening wrong when I like bring it to the table, and it really could be, but I have tried so many different angles where it's like, okay, I know people are expecting, or at least I think that a lot of people are expecting when they drink a sherry for it to be sweet. I mean,
Yeah,
sure, some of them are.
no,
But
always.
like,
No, I don't like sweet wines. Palomino Fino is the driest wine in the wine world. Come
yeah,
on. I mean,
yeah. So, and like, I will like set it up and be like, just don't like expect it to be anything until you taste it. Like, just give it a blank slate and taste it. And like, here's some tapas, or, just like
yeah.
be open-minded. No, people are like, oh, this isn't wine. And I'm like, this is such a food companion. It's so drinkable. I fucking love it. But yeah.
Frozen, Jana. Well, I'll take over where she left. I agree. You're back. I was just gonna take over. So yes, sherry definitely. I mean, sherry can do everything from the sweetest to the driest wines in the world, and the dry ones, they have this very special flavor that only sherry can produce, and I love that. It's because of the floor yeast, right? And I mean, you don't have glycerine anymore, because floor yeast not only eats sugar, it eats glycerine as well. So you have a complete different mouthfeel, and that alone for me works with an oyster. It's so straight up to the point. And if you're looking into drinks that go in the same direction, sake that works really well with oysters.
That's actually, yeah, that's one I haven't tried. That's a good tip. Nice. Okay, I have homework.
And then, do you know those 1920 barkeeper spray bottles? They look like a little perfume with a rubber ball. And so get one of those. I think Bar Stuff has them in Berlin for like small money. You can buy them online anywhere. They need to be classic though. They need to be like 1920s old school Gatsby style, and then you
We're
play
gonna
with
do
them.
a little Gatsby bougie tasting.
Yeah, and then get some spirits that work with oysters, and just spray a mist of those spirits on top of the oyster. And whiskey works, for example, really well. Aquavit, Scandinavian aquavit, I love that with oysters. It's insane. It brings out so much umami. And you can play with wines like for example, sherry as well. And no one will know. People will be too confused by the cute little spraying action to not
And
know it's
my 20s flapper dress that I'm gonna order for the occasion.
I see we understand each other.
Yeah, I think we got this. Okay. All right. That's amazing. So I feel like now this is like a new angle on oysters, probably for most people watching this. If anyone has like already checked off all these boxes, then like you're well ahead of the curve. Good for you. Okay. There's some myths, because I feel like there's a few funny ones. One that I heard growing up a lot was that you're only supposed to eat oysters in months with an R. That sounded very Canadian. R. In months with an R in them. Have you heard that before?
Of course, I've heard.
It's kind of old school.
Yeah, there's a few reasons for it. Neither of them is really valid anymore. first of all, the month without the R tend to be the summer month, so the hotter ones. In times where we couldn't have cool chains, like we didn't have fridges and stuff, it makes sense because you can ruin yourself quite easily with a bad oyster. The other thing is, there were times where we had an overfishing of oysters, and it's in the summer month where they mate. So there was regulations introduced just to create kind of like a sustainability kind of.
Okay.
Today, the only thing you should know is that oysters do have an annual cycle, and they will taste different in different months. So I totally understand why a lot of people prefer them in December or November in the winter month. I do as well. They taste leaner and fresher, and you get like a hint of milkiness and lactic notes in summer. So I still eat them in summer, but I prefer the winter oysters.
Wow, I've never heard that in my life. They don't tell you that at restaurants. Not at the restaurants I've been frequenting, obviously. Huh.
Why would they? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
unless it's
that easy to tell you.
interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, so December is the best time to harvest and eat an oyster, in your opinion? Everywhere? Well,
Not just December, but November, December, January. Well, everywhere in the northern hemisphere, right?
yeah, yeah. Huh. Well, okay. I actually had the best oysters that I've ever had, and I have a hard time saying this, but I just have to be honest. It was in oh my God, Bondi Beach in Australia.
Oh, Sydney rock oysters. They're good. They're
Oh
very
my
good.
God,
Yeah.
were they good? Shout out to Jack Burston if you're watching this. Changed
Yeah.
my life. That was amazing.
Yeah, oysters.
They were so good. And I'm from the Atlantic coast, and whenever I go to a restaurant and there's oysters on the menu, I always order them because I just love them. But yeah, that was the best oyster experience that I've ever had. So
Cool. Did you always have oysters in Canada, and now you always had oysters in Germany as well? Have you ever noticed the difference, because it's a different species?
really?
Yeah.
No, I guess I'm just that I don't know, blind. I can taste wine, I can taste the difference. I can tell you about it. Obviously, I've just been like, but oh no, I know you're gonna die when I tell you this, Niels. Do you know what? I don't chew my oysters.
What? Not at all?
Nope.
Why?
Because I think it's weird. Because I can't believe I'm admitting this on this live stream. No, because it's alive. You're chewing it to death.
Yeah. No,
And I
no,
can't wrap my head around that. I
no.
love the,
Number one, if you put it in your mouth, it's not alive anymore. Number two, why would you not kill it but then swallow it alive? That doesn't make sense. But it's not. Once you loosen it from the shell, it's dead. There's no more life in it.
No, I Googled it, and it says that it takes a
I
little
call
bit.
BS. I call BS. No.
Well, then we can add that to our Mythbusters session.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I actually told myself, and I do this with everything in life, when I tell myself like, "Oh, Jana, don't tell anyone that," and then it's like the first thing that I'll tell you when you walk in the door because I can't like hold it back. So that was I usually, and I almost like an oyster almost killed me in Mallorca last summer because it was giant, and I was like, I can't chew it. I can't chew it. So anyway, you guys can make your jokes about that, but that's what happened. And I chewed 2 oysters because Conrad was like, look, you're not even tasting it. And I was like, but it's tiny and delicious.
Right. You're not.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So anyways, obviously you're supposed to chew them.
Yeah. Do you know what I do? I wetten my bottom lip first with a little bit of the juice, and so to get the salinity in, kind of like vinifying a wine glass. So I prepare my mouth for him. Then I put the actual oyster on top of my tongue, and I let it sit there for a few seconds without chewing, without doing anything. And you will feel that the proteins of the oysters will react with enzymes in our mouth, and eventually you will get a hint of sweetness, and then I start chewing them.
Oh my God, there's a whole science to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously I've been like I said, huge oyster fan, which is hilarious because I'm like just chucking them back, shuck and chuck. It's the whole thing. I don't know. I feel like they're healthy and it's good for me anyways, but I also read, look,
healthy.
I did a little bit of research today, Niels, and I came across a fun fact that I randomly texted Conrad in the middle of the day, and I'm sure he was like, what is she doing? Let me just pull up my WhatsApp conversation. Ah, yes. This is what I texted him out of the blue today. Did you know that one adult oyster can filter up to 190 liters of water per day? Just in case he was wondering that. He probably wasn't wondering.
It's like, no, I did not know, and I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Thanks, Jana. Go back about your day. You must be busy. So yeah, it's kind of cool though.
It's they're good for the environment. Yeah, they're filtering out a lot of
Like
dirt.
algae and
Also means if you're out and you're kind of like getting wild oysters, make sure you're not getting them from the next port.
oh god. Ugh. Yeah, they are little filters. So
Yeah.
I guess that's also why they're like so heavily controlled and tested, right? Yeah. That's for the best. For the best. Okay. And then I wanted to jump back to this like oyster liqueur thing. I did not know that the liquid inside an oyster was called oyster liqueur. And I saw that coming up when I was like looking, when I was researching oysters today to get ready for this big moment. Saw that come up and I was like, is this a liqueur that one would find at the liquor store? It is not, although it sounds like it. So tell me about that. Is this like, how important is it if you like, you don't want to spill it, obviously?
Well, if you open an oyster, you have two liquids really, right? The first one that's inside that I usually get rid of. Not everybody does, but I usually get rid of it. And then when you kind of detach the oyster from its shell, then it spills out the oyster liqueur. And that's pretty much, well, an oyster lives by filtering water. So that's the water that's inside the oyster, right?
That's why your oysters are dead when you eat them.
What, do you eat them with your shell?
No, but I leave the seawater in when I shuck it.
Yeah, still, as soon as you cut it off the shell, it's dead.
It's like my dad used to tell me, like, he was like, okay, when you shuck an oyster and then you squeeze the lemon on it, you'll know that it's really fresh because it'll like shrink back. Yeah.
Yeah, he's right.
And so I used to live my life thinking if an oyster doesn't shrink back, I can't eat it. But I realized I learned today in my research that not always the case.
Do you put lemon on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, always?
No,
no, bad thing. I don't do it, but not a lot, at least.
Well, I have like a weird kind of obsession with lemons. So I usually do, but it depends what the restaurant provides. I'll eat, usually if I get like 6 oysters for me, I'll eat them all differently, but I'll do like one plain and then I'll do one with lemon with vinaigrette or whatever. Sometimes horseradish. It's a toss up. Anyway, how should you eat an oyster? What's the best thing other than the misting bottles from the 20s?
I'm very much a purist, so I eat them usually without anything. I do like when they prepare little vinaigrettes and stuff, right? So little things. I love that. I prefer that to a lemon. Sometimes I do a lemon if it's summery and I feel like it, but generally I don't lemon.
Okay. And then like we have to talk about champagne for a minute or sparkling wine for a minute. Just because I feel like that's still going to be everyone's like kind of first thought, and they're probably going to want to know what the differences are. So like, it's not the ultimate oyster pairing, obviously. It's a good oyster pairing, but like, then what kind of champagne do you want to look for if you're pairing with oysters? And does it matter what kind of an oyster you're looking at? And is it like compared to Brut, or, you know, are we looking for Blanc de Blanc, Blanc Noir? What are we looking for?
Yeah. So generally speaking, there's different styles of oysters, right? If you have a high salinity in the oyster, such as, for example, where I'm from, the Sylt Royal, or you have like from Set, it's a very saline oyster. I would always go with like a very elegant Blanc de Blanc, Extra Brut, or Zero Dosage even. Like the more dry the wine, the better, I feel. However, once you get into some areas of oysters and you have higher protein content, which gives you a little sweetness in the oyster, such as, for example, you said you haven't had any experience with like Vancouver, but south of Vancouver, around Seattle, you find an oyster that's called Olympia. It's very sweet. I love that with really, really red fruited Blanc de Noirs. I love that. Like really, really good Pinot Noir driven champagnes, or Pinot Meunier even.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, because I was immediately thinking actually we'd probably want to go Blanc de Blanc. Interesting. Okay, that's cool. I've got to head out west, obviously. A little bit of a trek, but that's all right. It's been a minute.
I meant to go to Vancouver for like years now, and I still don't find the time. It's too far.
Yeah, but did you live in Banff or Whistler? I always forget.
Yeah, I've lived in Vancouver and I've lived in Lake Louise.
Oh, Lake Louise. Oh my God. Yeah, okay. All right. See, when Nils and I first met, we bonded over the fact that he knew so much about Canadian wines and like Canada. And I was impressed by that. Also, I don't think it was the first day that I met you, but one of the first times that I met Nils at an event, he had like this giant tin of caviar that was like bigger than any tin of caviar I've ever seen in my life. And he was like, "Hello, peasant. Would you like to taste my caviar?" We knew each other already, actually, I think. And I was like, "Man, you're bougie." And you're still bougie to this day. And you know what?
I don't think I am, Jana. I don't think I am at all.
Nils, look, you and I, we can disagree on a few things. We can disagree on an island or in an island, and we can disagree on how bougie you are. But those are two things that I think we're just going to continue to disagree on. And that's okay.
Why would I be bougie? I'm a very poor boy from next door.
God. All right. The guy who's a wine and oyster expert, not bougie at all. Where are you heading? I'm sorry. Where are you going in 2 days?
Paris.
And then?
St. Martin. It's for work.
Yeah.
I gotta work.
Yeah. You know what? It's okay. I don't have to say anymore. I won that one. Okay. Last question for you about oysters, and then I want to hear about what you're working on right now, and then we'll wrap it up because we are so over time, but this has been an awesome conversation. And I want to give your voice a rest so that you have some left for your next big excursions. Last question that I want to ask, because East Coast Canadian girl, what about oysters and beer?
Nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
Nothing wrong. Absolutely. I prefer dark beer, like a stout, like a Guinness or something with it.
Nice. Oh, my dad is cheering right now if he's watching this.
Yeah. Well, Jana's dad. I'm trying to remember your last name before. Oh, Hoyt.
Hoyt. Nice. Nils.
Hoyt. Enjoy your beer with the oysters.
He's starting the car right now, and he's like going to the liquor store to get some Guinness. 100%. Yeah. Dad, I see you.
Sure. Oh, it's okay. A good comment. The only problem is dark beer doesn't work with a lot of other seafood. While you and my champagne will.
Yeah.
Also, lobster and scallops and clams. Your dad has a problem because he has to stick to oysters.
Well, it's a problem that I think he's going to be okay with having.
Fair enough.
He'll switch. He's happy to then. You know what? He's happy to open a bottle of wine after the first beer or two.
Cool.
If I know my dad, he's got no problem with that. Okay, so I think that was it. Do you think did we miss anything? Is there any like
oysters? Well, no. Let's keep it at this. I mean, we can talk more about oysters. We can talk for hours, but no, it's good.
Okay, great. So tell me, so what are you working on right now? Where can people find you? I know there's nilslackner.com. You're on Instagram, Nils Lackner. What are you working on now? I know you've got some exciting things going on, but I'm going to let you take it away.
So I have my own company. It means I'm not employed by anybody. I've been working for years now as like a host for wine tastings and event coordinator for culinary events, of course, with a focus on wine and oysters a lot, but not exclusively. I'm the head sommelier of a luxury sail ship company. I know that proves your point about bougie, but the thing that really excites me right now, Jana, is I'm getting booked a lot as a keynote speaker. So moving away from the classic tastings and giving, let's just say, different ideas and different impacts, and shifting my focus a little bit, not exclusively, but been doing this a lot lately. So still with a culinary kind of like twist, but I talk, for example, like how does how does gustatory perception influence our cognitive decisions and stuff like this. So to break it down, what does flavor do to a management decision and stuff like that? And how can you use that for yourself? So I get booked a lot with this. I've been working a lot with new latitude topics and new latitude wines. So it breaks my heart that I have to go to the Caribbean, because this weekend is also the Cool Climate Wine Summit in Copenhagen, where I've been last year, and I would love to go, but I simply can't. I mean, you can't be everywhere at the same time. Talking about Copenhagen, I've just started working as an advisor with a very well-known Copenhagen family that owns a few restaurants that we all know. I don't want to talk about it too much, but yeah, one restaurant is known for like 7 hours and 50 course dinners. So
oh my God. Okay, well, everyone knows what you're talking about now. That's
so I've been been working with them a little bit, or we've had talks, and they invited me just before Christmas, invited me over to Copenhagen to enjoy like a champagne lunch at said restaurant. And if you do your math, you know, they also own another restaurant which is named after a flower and so on. So I work with them starting with this year, which is super exciting. Then we're doing an after season, referring to the snowboard season, after season snowboard event, or a row, like a series of events in Austrian ski resorts.
Nice.
Yeah, so a few cool projects happening right now, and I still get booked a lot for like private tastings all over the world.
Wicked. Well, we've got some club members that I think would be very interested in hearing more from you. So let's definitely stay in touch. Anyone interested in anything that that Nils has mentioned, maybe particularly around any of it, actually. You did
wine, champagne, oysters, caviar, all that. Like, if you want to have a tasting anywhere in the world, let me know.
Bougie stuff. Bougie stuff.
Cheap wine like Plonk and Goon. I do it all.
Slap the bag. Okay. So, and you also mentioned, like, in a split second, you mentioned sail ship company. I feel like that's a conversation we need to get into either now or another time. But yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. And Nils, I have an idea that I need to share with you, but I can't do it live because it's such a good idea that I know one of you are going to snipe it. One of you guys watching this. But Nils, we're about to make some money, okay? Yeah, I got all kinds of crazy ideas. That was yeah. Okay.
I'm not that bougie, so I don't care about money.
Yeah, that's okay. It's fine if I take the larger half of the
No, it's not fine. You can take the larger half.
Okay. Haha. All right, guys. Well, that is all from my side. My rambles I will spare you. I will spare you now. We have gone almost an hour, Nils. You're the best.
I know. See that? Crazy.
Yeah, time flies. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. And for everybody watching, we are going to start our wine drops again next week. So all of you members, we had a little break over the holidays, but we're going to be back. We've got a very exciting limited edition from Chateau Palmer coming. So stay tuned for that. Next week, we're probably going to have something in its place. Palmer will be in 2 weeks. So stay tuned. You know what to do. Look at your emails. That is members only stuff. And otherwise, happy to be back. Nils, you rock. Safe travels. I hope you get off the island and that the snow gives you a break and a chance to get to St. Bart and St. Martin. And yeah.
Thanks for having me, Jana. Always great to see you, honestly. I must come back and meet you there.
Seriously, Nils, we're opening a restaurant. We have so much to talk about.
Let's do it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Nils, if you want to just hang in here in the studio for 1 second so I get your upload, I'm going to stop the live.